Our job is to tell the rest of the world and teach the rest of the world about new homes in this new home industry. And what I'm going to talk about today, unfortunately, is a bit of a grade card. We're not doing a very good job teaching the rest of the world about what new homes can do. I hope to build a case for you this morning as to why millennials are going to be so important and what we can do about them. And we don't need to give up on it. Today, about 24% of the populations are boomers, millennials, and Gen Zs. The problem that we have been experiencing in our economy is that 16% of the population is Gen X. And Gen X is the population that right now has moved into peak earning. So what it says is we have fewer people moving into those peak earning years now than we have had for a whole generation. And if we don't do something to figure out how to pull millennials into that void, then we will have to wait for one generation before we get back to where we were during the baby boom generation.
Hi everyone, I'm Ashlei Williams, Assistant Editor with The Wholesaler Magazine and PHC News. I am at my first KBIS and IBS show.
Hey, welcome to IBS.
I know. And to kick off, I am at the Crystal Vision Breakfast, and I am here with the keynote speaker, Tim Costello, and he talked about building for the millennial, which is important to me as a millennial, but I'd like you to share with our readers why pick that topic and why discuss it here.
Well, it's probably more important to me, actually, right? Our generation, the baby boomer generation, right, has really reached a point where we're going through a change of life. We're becoming empty nesters, we're starting to downsize. So what happens generationally from an economy's perspective is we pass this on to the next generation. Well, the next generation is Gen X, and Gen X is substantially smaller than the baby boomer generation. So the normal impact from an economic perspective would be is the GDP and the economy of the United States would shrink. For housing, meaning fewer faucets, fewer bathtubs, less building supplies, right? Less need for all the things that we're trying to sell. So it's a problem. So what we need to do is to look down the population pyramid and say, well, is this going to be a permanent situation? And the good news for the United States, it's not, because we have millennials, right? And millennials solve the problem, because millennials are actually a much larger population than even baby boomers. The challenge we have is we don't want to wait for you. If we wait, we're talking about 23 years basically waiting for millennials finally to become of age and spending power to replace the lost buying power of Gen X. So we need to figure out how to pull you in, how to interest you. And to do that, we really need to stop thinking in the mindset of just baby boomer, baby boomer, baby boomer, because for the last 30 years, the entire economy has really been driven about what baby boomers want, what we buy, what our tastes are, what fits our lifestyle and our age group. Now we need to kind of pass that mantle to Gen X and more importantly to the millennial generation and figure out what do you need. And what we find is that luckily it's not that you've abandoned housing and you don't want homes and you don't want to own a home and you don't want to personalize and have the privacy and all the things that prior generations. But your generation, like all other generations, is a little bit different. You have different challenges, you're getting married later, having children later, more ethically diverse, more educated, more technology savvy, oh darn it, right, than the rest of us. So we need to figure out how we can craft products, offerings, and sales presentations that will really appeal to you. And that is critical not only for housing, not only for all the manufactured products that go into housing, but just about every single industry in the United States.
So why should I care about these people? The reason we need to care about these people is this chart. We've lost half our market share. Even used home sales are still retarded from where they should be for the size of our economy. The problem with this is there simply aren't enough Gen X buyers to fill the void of the boomers that are transitioning through the economy. So we left one message this morning. Is that this is really important. It's science. It's something that every single person in this room needs to know about, needs to be studying, needs to be abreast of, and we need to spread the word within our company, and we need to have serious discussions about how this is going to impact us. Because demographics and demographic shifts are changing the world around us, and you will either become a victim of it or you will leverage it to take your position. I thank you very much this morning for your time.
And I know people can find you at the show. You're at KBIS and IBS, so can you
booth.
talk about your booth a
sure,
little bit?
We have a booth at C2050, and if you come on down, our goal at the booth, we're owned by the home building industry, so our job really is to help facilitate everybody in the home industry to transition from really the old marketing budgets of the physical world, newspapers, advertising, radio, billboards, and all that kind of stuff, and transition their budgets to the digital world. How do we get mobile? What are apps about? What are smart displays, smart smart signage, kiosks. How do we use all of this stuff and actually present a sales pitch in a much more effective and cost-effective manner? So that's what we do. So what we expect out of the show is really education and connection. You know, you've got 20, 30,000 different builders and tradespeople that are going to be wandering around this show. We'd like them to come by and kind of demonstrate some of these technologies to them.
Okay, well, thank you for taking the time for
It's my
speaking
pleasure.
with me and for speaking today. It was
All
great.
right. Great.